That needs to hear me. Amen. All right. I pray before I do these lives, just to hope and pray that someone that hears the words, either for myself or a guest, they do glean information that's helpful for them. So you caught me in the middle or the end of a prayer. So I'm talking about it's Soulful Sunday. Thank you for joining me. I'm Melinda from Hope When There Was None. I'm talking about our soulful practice of self-care. So today I wanted to talk about grounding or earthing. Both of those can be used interchangeably. And so what is that? Now that is something that I incorporated in my soulful practice when I started healing. And it's just one of the many things that I do. So I want to start getting into what I do. Hi, Leela. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. So that's just one of the things that I do. And I want to explain what that is and what these things are. And I've talked about several of them many, many times, probably ad nauseum. But I really want to stress how important it is to have a self-care practice when you are healing on this healing journey, because you do need something to kind of ground you, air quotes, and stabilize you and to bring you down. Oh, thank you. I look smart today. Thank you. Yeah, I have those days, but it's probably all used up after today. But I want to go ahead and dive into this. Thank you. You are so sweet. So what is being grounded? Being grounded is that mental state where you can actually feel like you're present. You bring yourself back to center. I have notes that I'm looking at right now. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. So you actually, because sometimes you can dissociate with things around you or situations, especially if you're having like a panic attack, anxiety moment, nightmare, flashback, and so on and so on. So you want to take deliberate steps into bringing yourself into this moment, back into the present, to feel like the floor underneath you, to feel things around you, the air around you. Maybe it's moving, perhaps it's warm. Is it cold? Can you name things around your room? Can you start naming textures? What are tastes? What are things you're hearing? Are you smelling things such as, I put on some chapstick. I usually do. I love chapstick. This one's minty. I can smell the mint. I can feel that it's chilly in my room. So these are things that I go ahead and try and use to center or ground myself. Now, you can also, I knew I had a habit of when I'm nervous, I don't do as much as I did before. I will play with my fingers. I mean, I do play with my fingers anyway, but even more so when I'm stressed out, I do this. Subconsciously and unconsciously, I do this when I'm in that panic mode. I will sit here and do this. Sometimes I sway. You could rock. You might use some other rhythmic behaviors. You might actually hug yourself. And I know I would hug myself and just gently rock myself too if I needed to. I would go and rock myself in a small area. Maybe I sit on the floor. And these are things I did before. I'd sit in the bathroom so the kids couldn't see me. And I would curl up, hug my knees to my chest. I'm on an exercise ball. Otherwise, I would practice that. You might see me fall over. So, but those are things I would use to self-soothe and comfort myself as well. Until I started to feel that fogginess go, or that panic moment. And these are things that I used in order to get myself, to bring myself to center. So I'm also talking about another type of grounding, and that is where you are earthing, okay? And that is where I would physically go outdoors and plant my feet, bare feet in the ground, or maybe my hands, perhaps I'm gardening or so on. And this is another tool that I use in order to bring myself to center when I'm having one of those moments where I need to go hug a tree. And I'm talking literally go out and hug a tree, especially if I had a migraine or something like that. I would hug that tree. I would just close my eyes and just give it a big hug, feel the scratchiness of the bark across my face, and just things like that. Hear the leaves as I'm hugging that tree, and I'm closing my eyes right now and trying to physically show you, I mean, literally hug that tree. You might, if it's a big tree, you might have to really kind of like hug it big, but just put your face on there, bare feet if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Maybe you're a person that doesn't like that. But just feel that sensation. Listen, put your listening cap on and listen to the branches. Right now it's winter time. I do ground myself in the winter. If I need to go hug that tree, I will. But I'll listen. I'll close my eyes and listen to the sounds that are around me, the cars that are passing by, the wind that is rocking that tree. I might hear branches scraping together. Again, these are things that are bringing me back to center. They're bringing me back to the now that I need as a reminder that I'm safe, I'm okay. and nothing's harming me right now. Of course, maybe I feel discomfort from head pain or so on. Now, earthing, and I'm not going to call it the other right now, but earthing, not bringing myself back to center, there have been studies to show that it reduces inflammation and helps with sleep as well. Your recovery time, maybe you've had an injury or something of that, a physical injury, it can shorten that length of that time, increase your energy. It could also normalize any type of biological rhythms that you have going on. And especially if you go out when the sun's starting to rise or even the sun start to set, but it's more important when you see that sun rise. I'm not talking about going and looking through your windows, because sometimes there's a coating on your windows, but to physically go out and look at the sun as it's rising, as it's just beginning to rise, that can help you with your sleep patterns. I am, not only with my chronic illness, and I'm working on that, I'm considered now in what do they call it? Not relapse. I'm better. I can't remember what it's called. Remission. So, but I still get those moments now, menopause, where I have trouble sleeping. So, but I know when I was in that panic state, when I was living in my situation with my abuser, and even after I left, my sleep patterns were just a hot mess. And so getting out there, looking at that sun, I could start to have, and I'm not going to get into the technological things of it, scientific stuff, but it does have a way of resetting that circadian rhythm. So it can also normalize your blood pressure, that blood flow, muscle tension. If you have that, you can really, it's almost like you're melting away a lot of your aches and your pain. So supporting your health, it's helping you lower that stress. It helps with adrenal as well. It's all about adrenals. I was battling adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue. A lot of this helps. So it does protect your body from a lot of the effects that we have going on around us right now. EMFs too, if you're into that sort of thing. So so there's a lot, and I believe YouTube even has a video on this called Earthing. So you might want to check that out. So what else can you do besides hugging that tree, getting your feet barefoot, or maybe playing in the dirt with some gardening, some plants? You can also take a hot shower. You might want to take a nice salt bath, or even go literally into an ocean or a lake. Salt water is supposed to be so healing, and I haven't had that honor or privilege yet to dive into the ocean, but maybe someday. Drink some water. You can even drink a little Himalayan salt, or they even have dirty salt. That's what it's called. It's unprocessed, so if you're wondering what that is. But drinking some salt water too, just a little bit, just a little sprinkle, or I think I used to do a teaspoon of salt in a big glass. It was a big glass. Essential oils can be grounding. Lying on the ground can be very grounding as well. Again, you're not going to have a blanket under you. It's just you on that ground. And I know we're in the wintertime here in Indiana, so you might have to clear away the snow. You might not want to sit outside that long, but maybe your hands just touch the ground. While maybe I kick off my socks even in the winter, and I haven't been brave enough to do it in the snow, but you can clear away that. Holding an ice cube, that can be very centering. Just feeling that starting to melt, feeling the cold on you too, that's very grounding. Getting outdoors, taking a hike, or just a nature walk. Get out there and take that walk. You can take your animals with you. Speaking of animals, our fur babies are very grounding for us, and they know when we're in pain or when we're suffering or just need that little bit of extra. Playing with kids can do that. Maybe a board game, laughing with some friends, jumping up and down, listening to some positive music. Now, I'm not saying that rock and roll or rap or some of this other grunge type music where there's a lot of cursing or anything like that. Please try to stay away from that when you're healing. And I know a lot of that is very popular. Over the last few years, I'm kind of like I listened to mainstream music a few times over the past, I'd say, year or two. And I mean, we had Dancing in the Sheets and so on, but some of this stuff is so dirty now. It's like, oh, so just be mindful of what you're listening to. Listen to music or sounds that are above I think it's above 432 hertz. Someone can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, or even above 223 hertz. I don't recall. But for something healing, classical music, there are different classical artists and composers out there that can really raise our vibration and ground us too. I do love to listen to a lot of classical music, and it's not just Christian hymnals. I do like to listen to old hymns, excuse me. I do like to listen to that in a classical form or with just music. And I'm not talking about your mainstream guys right now, Mercy Me or anything like that. I'm talking about the old stuff. And I love the old stuff. I really do. Those are the old hymns. They're just beautiful. They're very comforting, and they speak to my spirit and soul. So doing some sort of physical exercise, Pilates and so on. I don't really go to yoga because I've heard there's some controversial things with that, talking about the different poses. Anybody want to talk to me about it, that's fine. But that's just from a Christian thing that I've heard. I'm not sure how true it is. I'll never know. But I try to stay away from that. And so feeling that wind, just listening to the wind can be very powerful as well. Stress balls. I don't have one up here, but a stress ball. I used a stress ball. And again, these are things that I used. These are other ideas that you can use too in your practice, just to try and bring that focus back to you to get yourself grounded again. So I need to log off. I just realized how late it is. I am coming on with a live guest, Lizzie. She's going to talk to us about her inspiring journey and also what she does with CBD. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening to this Soulful Sunday. I will catch you soon. Mwah! I'll see you in a bit. Bye.